Hey everyone, it's me, Yana. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I make lifestyle videos, post-grad content, job content, all that stuff, so definitely be sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when I upload a video. Today I decided to do a kind of like a reflection of how my first semester of graduate school was. If you guys don't know, I started my Master's of Social Work program and I'm doing the 3-year part-time track, so this would be my first year or my first semester of graduate school, and I want to get my LICSW licensure so that I can be a practicing therapist and social worker. So that is why I'm getting my Master's of Social Work. My bachelor's degree was in psychology, and I'll have a link to like all my psychology major playlist videos and my grad school playlist, so if you guys want more content you can go ahead and watch it. But basically I just wanted to tell you guys how my first semester of grad school went, kind of what it was like and all of that, because the second semester starts in a week. So I thought I would do a semester reflection, so without any further ado, let's dive into it. So my grad program started in September, so it's like a regular semester, like fall to spring. And during the fall, because of COVID going on and the pandemic, my experience might be a little bit different, but we started out one of my classes, so I took 3 classes, and one of my classes was, excuse me, my dog interrupted me, but I took 3 classes, and one of my classes was in person until probably end of October, beginning of November, and then it went online. And so that was like the only time I was ever on campus itself, and the rest of my classes were completely online, which honestly I kind of liked it, just because I don't know, there's pros and cons to both. I think it was nice going in person for class because you got that experience, like I really felt more connected. Also, it was nice to have classes online because I didn't have to drive, because my school is about like 30 minutes away from where I live, so it's kind of a drive. So it was nice not to be able to drive all the way there, just do it from the comfort of my own home. And I'm a really good at working independently. I like thrive in being on my own, so I'm really good at like managing my work and making sure things get done. But yeah, so some of the things that were different than my bachelor's or my undergrad was the classes are definitely like more specific. There's not really like general classes. So the 3 classes I took was history and philosophy of social work, and then I took research methods, and then the 3rd class was human behavior and the social environment. So those were my 3 classes I took, and it went really well. I got all A's in my classes, so that was like a huge shocker to me that I finished a grad program with like all A's. I worked so hard, but I still felt that like imposter syndrome, like am I really, like, can I really get good grades? But obviously my grades show that I did work really hard. And comparing it to undergrad, it is a lot more work, but it's not a lot in the amount of work, but in the amount of preparation you have to do for the work, if that makes any sense. So like undergrad, there's a lot of papers, there's a lot of tests, not as much as in high school, but still, you know, you have your midterms and your finals, and you have maybe tests in some classes or a couple papers, whatever. In grad school, you literally have like 3 assignments and that's it. So your learning isn't getting evaluated on a consistent basis, only for like 3 huge projects, so they carry a lot of weight. And obviously like class participation and like discussion boards and stuff, that's still a thing, but it's not as well, it's still important, but it's not as important as like the big assignments. So that was like definitely something that like was really stressful, because you would be like, oh, I have a paper due like 2 months from now, like I don't have to think about it or worry about it. But they are longer papers, and like we had to write a lit review. Ugh, oh my gosh, I do not like lit reviews, but we had to do that, and it takes a lot of research and a lot of time and scrambling. So yeah, I really had to learn how to plan ahead and not procrastinate everything till the last minute, which my final paper for one of my classes though, because I was so swamped with my other classes and work, I literally wrote that paper in 4 hours and it was like a 15-20 page paper. I don't know how I did it, but I don't want to do that to myself again. So yeah, so I feel like in grad school it seems like you don't really have work to do, but then once the due date comes closer to the huge assignments, you're like, oh shoot, I have to do this, and it can be stressful. So that's something that I learned, because in my undergrad I had like some big assignments every week or a few weeks or so, or I constantly had homework every day, so it was more easier to like it was a lot of work and a lot of assignments, but I didn't have to stress to the extent that I stress with my grad school assignments, if that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of my all 3 of my classes were like that, where there were a couple of big projects. My research methods class, it was all group projects, and it's kind of difficult to do group projects like over Zoom, but like my group was great and we let it happen, and we figured out a routine that worked for us, so we got it done and it was great. And yeah, so there's a lot more group work in my graduate program than in my undergrad, and at first I'm like the type of person who like cringes at group work, and I'm like, ugh, like no, I'd rather do it by myself. But in a way I liked it, because it gave me an excuse to connect with other students like remotely, because we couldn't meet in person. So it was kind of nice, and it did help with the weight of the assignment. Like it helped to have a task for each single person, and we just focused on our own task and were able to get everything done. So that was nice. I definitely learned that group projects are definitely a thing in grad school. I don't know if it's every program, but my specific program was group work. So yeah, a lot of it was papers. There's no assessments or anything like that. The assessments are like essays or presentations or a group research project or something along those lines. So yeah, there is also a lot of reading in graduate school. Can't really get away with not reading, because it's like your livelihood, it's like what you're working for in a career, you know? So it's essential to do reading, but also because the grad program is so centered and more specific to what I want to do, that made it easier for me. Whereas in undergrad, if I had like reading to do for a molecular biology class or like an animal science class, I wasn't like happy to do the reading. But in this class, like doing all that reading is actually really interesting, and I'm more motivated to do it because it's stuff that I'm genuinely passionate about. So that's what I really liked about grad school, is how it's more specific to what I want to do, which makes it easier to motivate myself to do the work and to put in the hours for reading and studying. So yeah, that's definitely was kind of hard to adjust to, and I still feel like I haven't fully adjusted to grad school yet. It just flew by so fast this past semester, and I felt like I was constantly go go go. Like I was always working on something for grad school, and it was a lot. So I'm super happy that I did the part-time program, because full-time would be a little too much for me right now, where I am in life right now, because I also work. But yeah, I didn't have placements or an internship I won't have one this year, because it's my first year. I know if you're a full-time student, then it's your second semester that you start an internship, but for me, mine won't be until next fall. So I think then it'll seem more real, like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting my grad school degree. But yeah, overall I do really like enjoy grad school. It is very challenging in ways, but it's also better than undergrad in some ways, just because the workload is more specific to what I want to do, and it's also more flexible. Like I like how classes meet once a week. I like it being remote. I enjoy the type of work that I'm doing, and I feel more confident in what I'm doing, I think. So yeah, I definitely didn't think that I would be able to make it through grad school, but like showing how it's manageable, it's doable, it's hard, it's not easy, but also it is so fulfilling. So yeah, that was my first semester of grad school experience. Let me know if you guys have specific questions down below. I would love to answer them, and like I said, I'll link my social work playlist down below if you want more videos about my master's degree. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on my next video. Bye guys.